No matter how safe you might think you are, you can't really expect the unexpected. There could be something lurking around the corner, just waiting to ruin your day, and there's almost nothing you can do about it. Despite being known as some of the safest cities in the country, these cities have their fair share of skeletons in the closets. Recent events have shed light on the disturbing reality, and caught it on camera. From on-cam assaults to brazen break-ins, nowhere is truly immune to crime. Today we'll watch some of the most disturbing videos of crimes caught in America's safest cities. It serves as a reminder, safety is not always guaranteed. Make sure you watch to the end to see what I mean. Credit card skimmer scammer, Sunnyvale, California. In such a nice area, the last thing you want to expect is someone scamming you. These officers caught one such situation, having nailed an alleged credit card skimming suspect. The clip opens up with a few officers crowding a gas pump, checking for signs of tampering. As they look, the suspect in question is handcuffed, sitting on the curb. Eventually, they take the man to the police car, patting him down and checking for weapons. These skimmers could be taking hundreds from their unsuspecting victims and serve as proof that even in a nice place like Sunnyvale, people don't always have your best interest in heart. Fake ballistic missile alarm, Honolulu, Hawaii. These people live in a tropical wonderland, but even the islands aren't all they're cracked up to be. Most people never have to live through a nightmare scenario like this, though the idea of being trapped on an island when you do, absolutely chilling. These ballistic missile alarms went off on a random day in Honolulu, sending people into a massive panic.
A missile may impact on land or sea within minutes. This is not a drill.
Believing that they were about to be hit by a gigantic ballistic missile, people sprung into action. They were searching for cover, jumping into manholes to bunkers, and generally terrified for their lives, all because someone working at the emergency management agency pushed the wrong button. Twice. There was almost no distinction between this fake alarm and a real one because it wasn't just some test. People really thought their lives were in danger. And wouldn't you? Most of us grow up with emergency alert tests, worried that eventually it won't just be a test. I'd probably have a hard time trusting them after this. Historic waves crashing a party, Keohukona, Hawaii.
Oh my god! Okay, guys, let's go. Here now.
Sometimes, though, the danger is very real and very present. On one of the most beautiful places on Earth, the waves can get larger than buildings and take over whole neighborhoods. There's only so much space to go inland if you're on an island. These people stood around as they watched the waves crash over the seawalls, ruining parties and events left and right. Otherwise, the day is bright and sunny. They might have thought they had enough time to get to their event. Mother Nature, however, seemed to have another idea. Smash and grab robbers, West Covina, California. Imagine if your local mall was targeted. How would that feel? The West Covina Mall, in 2022, was treated to exactly that scenario. Quiet little California city, one of the safest in the country, subject to something as destructive as a handful of robbers in a jewelry store. Not only did they break into a mall overnight, but the jewelry store was left in shambles as they left. I'm not sure I'd feel quite as safe here, knowing you might be just around the corner from a dangerous mugging. This feels like Los Angeles behavior, not a city that's been growing in prestige like West Covina, widely known as an ideal place to raise a family. Maybe it's better to rethink that. At least if you're a big mall goer, this might not be the best place to go. GameStop clearout, Glendale, Arizona. Glendale, Arizona is an excellent area. The people who want to steal will. This thief in broad daylight walked into a GameStop. We assume he was just there for everyday purchases, but the truth is much more sinister. As he was left alone on the floor, the man looked over the counter, grabbed his gaming console, and left. No one stopped him, and no breaking and entering was necessary. This small community is well known for how safe it is, only to be rocked by behavior like this. There was a $1,000 reward for catching this thief, and hopefully the sales associate didn't lose their job. But maybe don't assume people have the best intentions next time. It doesn't matter how nice of a small community you live in. There will always be people looking to take advantage. Karen won't comply with officers, Meridian, Idaho. Sometimes it's genuinely bad actors, and sometimes, well, things go a little too far. Meridian, Idaho is not known for violent crime. In fact, quite the opposite. Small areas can be rocked by even the smallest crimes, especially when the citizens are tight-knit and expect better from their neighbors. Luckily, this wasn't that, but more of an upset of the peace. It's hard to tell whether the officer was acting in bad faith or if we're dealing with a crazy Karen who's just daring the officer to arrest her. Either way, it doesn't really matter. When approached by an officer, the woman becomes loud and combative.
I just told you exit the playground area.
But we're not trespassing. Are you gonna now? Are you gonna cite everyone for not social distancing?
Ma'am.
Are you going to?
You have 5 seconds.
It's a public park, which she claims multiple times. However, the police are ready to close it down. They reported numerous calls to the community police and decided to shut things down. She stood her ground, fighting back on what she believes is an unjust treatment, and in turn was arrested. Whether or not this was fair, she kicked up a fuss and was arrested for the behavior.
He is arresting her for being on a public playground.
Karen's behavior is one thing, but did she consider the kids and other moms watching too? Hard to tell your kid to behave when you're supposed to be a role model. Dangerous cargo driver, Joliet, Illinois. You might be a safe driver on the road, but you never know what's going on with other people. This person caught in Joliet, Illinois, an awful case of reckless driving, right in the middle of a safe and tight-knit community. The driver was likely texting or sleeping, but the vehicle began to drift in and out of the lines. The FedEx truck behind it compensates by making a wide lane switch to avoid the inevitable disaster that would come from a collision. It doesn't matter how safe you are on the road or if you think this is just some routine drive from work. If other people aren't just as careful, then what good is your ability? Hopefully you too can swerve and avoid accidents as well as the FedEx driver did. Blind spot crash, Joliet, Illinois. Maybe the story's moral here is that not all safe communities are filled to the brim with safe drivers. This clip is fast, but catches a dangerous exchange as one car flies off a fence. The traffic isn't crazy, just a few people out on a sunny and clear day. However, from behind our perspective, another car comes racing through traffic to try and speed by. As if on cue, that's when another, more responsible driver goes to make their timed turn. The two likely hadn't seen each other until it was too late. Blind spots can really be a dangerous thing to navigate. The speeding car goes flying into a fence and subsequently a tree, wildly falling out of control as the other vehicle is able to stop just in time. While not everyone was quite as lucky as the car that stopped, it's absolutely insane to have caught this terrifying moment on dashcam with a prominent vantage point like they did. Fast-paced bank robbery, Virginia Beach, Virginia. People go to Virginia Beach all around, the small little beach town becoming a magnet for all over the country tourism. But what if it wasn't quite as safe as people thought? This clip opens up right at the action, as a man wearing a hoodie walks into the bank. He seems to walk in with a purpose, not wasting any time as he points at the teller. His face is obscured and the camera can't catch anything important or discerning about him. He points at the teller, demanding money into a bag, and within a minute collects his boon and walks out with just as much purpose as he'd come in. It was quick, succinct, and likely over before anyone in the back could have reacted. Before the last clip, since you watched up until this point, why don't you consider subscribing to the channel? We upload 2 new creepy, disturbing, and downright scary videos every week, so stay up to date with our latest releases by getting those post notifications. If you enjoyed this one, we have plenty more for you on the channel, so you won't want to miss a single one. Dashcam catches insane crash, Florence, South Carolina. Catching an insane situation on your dashcam is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Most people won't deal with dangerous crashes in their lives, and even fewer will have a dashcam on and running when it happens. In this little community of Florence, South Carolina, things like this don't happen. However, bad drivers exist everywhere. The perspective we get is of a police officer, with a sizable distance between him and the red truck in front of him. According to the footage released, he was going a bit faster than the speed limit, 80 in a 60-mile-per-hour zone. He follows the pickup truck for a while, calling in the tags to the station. Nothing happens for a bit, but eventually the officer does turn his lights on and the two of them pull over onto the side of the road. As the officer pulls the driver out of the car, they head back to his vehicle to get information from the driver.
What you traveling so fast for?
I'm trying to get home. I ain't gonna lie.
Where y'all headed?
Well, we coming back from Georgia.
What part of Georgia?
Atlanta, I think. ATL.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, ATL, that's Atlanta.
Yes.
Where y'all headed?
Back to South Carolina.
What part of South Carolina?
Myrtle Beach.
Okay, I got you.
The story keeps going back and forth and changing constantly. Eventually, they step out of the officer's vehicle and the woman waits in front, only for the passenger to jump into the front seat and speed off. The woman is left behind, and all the officers jump into their car and speed off after him. After a minute or so, they finally catch up to the wreckage of what his accident left behind. While the woman was left out of the car, the altercation with the officer likely saved her from being part of that. If he'd let her go back in the car for her phone or anything else, then who's to say she might have been there? There's little left of the vehicle. Sometimes when things smash, they really finish the job. There's probably nothing they can salvage from this wreck, which was, according to them, a friend's rental that they borrowed. Hopefully it wasn't someone's stolen car, though really, I'm not sure it makes it better either way.